shouldn't be affected by anyone else. All right, Connor. Right here. What we're going to do? Yeah, it was tricky enough. It was up and over. I was landing the ball like into a little bit of a slope into the green, so I knew that as long as I connected or struck it well enough that the ball was going to check. So I had a good landing spot. I was like, okay. So I hit my landing spot perfectly. It came out with the direction of the spin that I thought it was going to have, and I couldn't see the bottom of the flag until I saw the Patriots on the grandstand. Like it was, I had a chance, and then it went in. But again, that was, I wanted to get it at least level with the bunker, if not beyond the bunker, because I knew that was going to be a better angle for the chip shot. Harry and I talked about that. That's just the benefit of having a lot of experience around here is knowing, even if you're right at that green, whether you're front right, pin high right, back right, what the different shots are going to be like. So light it up in a good spot and bonus that it went in, but yeah.
Roughly. Well, you played these first 2 days with Mason Howell, and you've spent years talking about how you wanted to play like a kid again. What do you think he saw and learned from you these 2 days?
Yeah, hopefully he saw that you don't have to be perfect to shoot good scores. I think when I was 18 and I started to play tour events, I thought that pros just didn't make mistakes, and he saw plenty of mistakes out of me over the first 2 days, but again, I fell back on my short game and my left play, so hopefully he saw someone that wasn't perfect, but was very efficient with how he scored, and I think that's, to be successful at the professional level, that's a big part of it.
Robbie, despite all the years of it being about getting over that hump last year, and you have been acquiring experience here for 17 years, I'm curious, when do you feel like there was a moment that you kind of realized, like, you do know how to play this course really well?
I think I've known that for a while. Even going back to my first year here in 2009, I shot 30 on the back nine on Sunday. So I've always had the ability to go on these runs. But I think it was getting to the point where I would allow myself to play the course the way I knew that I could. So it was getting past myself. It was staying aggressive. Like my little mantra to myself today was keep swinging and keep swinging hard at it, even if you're not hitting fairways. Like just keep swinging. So over the years, this golf course is sometimes. My mindset hasn't been keep swinging, it's been guided, tentative, and I think, the experience that I've accrued over the years, and then obviously with what happened last year, it makes it a bit easier out there to keep swinging.
Sure.
Or you've played so many times on this course, and you have so many specific successes on specific holes. Do you ever allow yourself to think when you're on a hole, okay, I'll be okay now?
No, you just have to play with what's in front of you. I've done that before where I went into the 2015 Masters wanting to play the par 5s better because I didn't play the par 5s well in 2014. But then I didn't play the 4th hole and the 11th hole well. So the next year I went and tried to play the 4th and the 11th hole well, but then I didn't play. So you can pinpoint holes all you want, but at the end of the day, you just have to play the hole that's in front of you and stand up and execute and make good swings.
Okay.
Well, it felt like a key moment in the run was after the bogey on the 10, the way you managed to respond on the 11, and the way you hit that shot as well. How do you manage to read that?
There wasn't much decision around what club or what type of shot. It was basically a stop pitching wedge for all three of us.
John?
Rory, what for you would be more fun, eking out a victory by the skin of your teeth, or actually running away from it and lapping the field?
What do you think? Look, I've built up a nice cushion at this point. I guess my mindset is just trying to keep playing well and keeping my foot on the gas.
Right?
Rory, set number par on the par fives of the first 2 days. If you told me in 2009 that you do that without hitting a fairway on any of the par fives and on the what does that say about the evolution of your game over the past 18 years?
Becoming a wildly better, I think. Again, I remember even go back to the final round of 2011, in that bunker off the second hole, and not panicking, but thinking, oh, this isn't good. I can't go for this in two. I walk up there today, and it's like, I led up to a good number, and I'll have a good chance to make a birdie. So, it's just there's so many different ways to swing that. I've shot 12 under par for the first two rounds here. Not played well. I've hit good shots, but it hasn't all been amazing. I've relied on my short game when I've needed it, and I've certainly had enough good wedges into those par fives to hold the score that I have.
Fair.
Something like this in the late tee time tomorrow, are you going to allow yourself to think about what you want to do tomorrow, or are you going to try and keep your mind off it and how to spend that time?
Yeah, I'll probably try to keep my mind off it. That distraction is usually a good thing for me, especially with a late tee time and the lead. There's actually two really good semi-finals at Monte Carlo in the tennis, so I'll watch that. I think it's Sinner and Zverev and Vasheru and Alcaraz. So I'll watch those. We've been watching the tennis early in the mornings, so I'll do that, and then hopefully spend some time with Poppy. I think we're about halfway through Zootopia 2, so we'll do a little bit of that. But yeah, I think for me, I get to the golf course 2.5 to 3 hours before, and then I'll start to think about things. But before that time, I really try to stay off my phone and distract myself.
Is the mindset with a 6-shot lead here any different to would be if you had that anywhere else? And as much as you feel like part in that?
I don't think so. I just want to go out and play 2 good rounds again. Obviously, this golf course has certain characteristics that, guys can go on runs, guys can make eagles. You hear roars all over the golf course. So, I think the next 2 days for me, it's just about really focusing on myself. And it's hard to avoid those big leaderboards out there, but I know that I've got a lead, so I don't need to keep checking it all the time. So for me, just really focusing on myself and staying on my own little world out there is the best thing.
Obviously, no lack of attention on you coming into this event, Rory, but with the documentary and the dinner and everything, do you feel like people were sleeping in your golf game at all?
I don't know. I don't follow the coverage as closely as I maybe used to. So, I guess it's understandable. I haven't played in 3 weeks. The last time everyone saw me, I was struggling with a bit of a back injury. So, it's understandable if I wasn't in the forefront of everyone's mind from a playing perspective.
What would congressional Rory advise this Rory about protecting the lead on the weekend?
Go and play was